Hello, everyone, and welcome to the On Air podcast with your hosts, Stephen Hudson, Paul O'Flaherty, and David Gall. The On Air podcast is the official podcast for Geek Dimensions and everyone living a geek's life. Hello, everybody. This is Stephen Hodson from Geek Dimensions On Air podcast, and we're back for another week. And I will note the last Thursday recording forever, because we're switching to Wednesdays next week. But anyway, it is April 10th, 2014, and we're here, my good friends Paul O'Flaherty, David Gall, and myself, to talk geek stuff, whether it be tech, whether it be pop culture, whether it be the things we don't like, we do like, it doesn't matter. We talk about it, because we are fans of everything to do with geeks. And as I said, Paul is up in... Where are you, Mobile or Birmingham? Which one?
I'm in Mobile.
Mobile,
Alabama.
Yes. How are you today?
I'm good. I'm happy, excited to be here.
What's this about an elliptical and a treadmill?
Yeah, well, my fat ass put on a crap ton of weight after when Sarah got pregnant. I think I put on more weight than my wife did.
I was going to say, isn't it supposed to be the other way around?
Yeah, I had the sympathy pregnancy. So it's time to, Malcolm's 8 months old now. It's time to get rid of it all. So went out and bought a treadmill and that arrived 2 days ago, and bought an elliptical that arrived today. Now I just have to actually start using them.
Yeah, that's the trick, isn't it?
Well, I've already started using the treadmill. So and I'll get on the treadmill for a session after we're finished recording tonight. But I still have to. Sorry. I still have to put the elliptical away first.
And David, down in Birmingham or up in Birmingham?
Up in Birmingham.
Up in Birmingham.
Up for
Down
me.
from you.
3 hours up for me.
How are you doing tonight?
Pretty good. Ready to talk about some cool things.
Are you imbibing tonight?
I am not. Just Nestle Pure Life water.
Oh God,
it's delicious.
At least I've got Pepsi.
Oh,
it's a dry show tonight.
It's a dry show.
Nobody's imbibing.
Nobody's imbibing. We got to break that rule one of these nights. Sort of a special, all of us sit back and drink a little bit and talk a little bit. Anyway, being an interesting week, I think we obviously got to talk about the big one, this Heartbleed thing that popped up beginning of the week, midweek. It's the OpenSSL breach that happened. Anybody give me some concrete? David, you're the tech guy. What is Heartbleed?
okay. From what it looks like, it appears that they found a way to rip your key pair, and it's already been fixed. From what I understand, there's an OpenSSL release that has already fixed this issue. However, those who have already stolen those keys are now, I guess, have something hanging over you. I don't know. I don't really know the full impact of this yet. I haven't really had any personal stories of anyone who's had any issues with it, or anybody who's even updated SSL. So I'm still waiting to see how this pans out.
Yeah, this seems to me to be one of those things that has the potential to have been massive, but it was. The flaw has apparently been in OpenSSL since 2012, since an implementation then. And basically, it seems that when you're logging in somewhere, they can trick the server when you're logging in to dumping 64,000 bytes of memory, which basically gives them, can potentially give them everything from usernames and passwords to encryption keys and so on and so forth. Whether or not this is actually being exploited in the wild, we don't really know. But, most companies have already updated or issued a fix. If you're feeling paranoid about it, just go ahead and,
change your passwords.
Change your password. But, obviously there's no point in changing your password on a service that doesn't implement a fix. So just, keep an eye on whatever service you're worried about. Keep an eye on the blog or whatever. Mashable, actually, who Stephen loves to hate, put up quite a comprehensive list of the big companies today. everybody from Google to Microsoft and down through most of the banks, and with statements as to whether or not you should change your passwords for these services. And the vast majority of them, you didn't have to do anything. Gmail, you did. Amazon.com, you didn't. Amazon Web Services, you did. But there's a script on GitHub that checks like the top 1,000 sites to see.
Yeah, I saw somebody made a Chrome extension that will let you know if a site you're visiting is vulnerable. Yeah,
well, the thing is, right, that they're touting this as being 2/3 of all websites, but I think the real numbers are that this really only affects about at most 6% of websites out there, because most places aren't using SSL for any kind of login or any shit like that. They probably should be, but they're not.
Well, I know I got an email today from ProXPN saying that not to worry, it was already taken care of. Feedly even posted on their blog that not to worry, it's already been taken care of. So I think this is something that is really being overblown again.
It's not necessarily being overblown, but what I did notice today was I went around, because I actually did go around all the services. I went around as many services as I'm signed up with, and I took the approach of, well, you know what, it's probably time I change my passwords anyway, so I got to be proactive. A lot of services didn't send me any notification information about it, but when you logged in, you got little reminders inside your dashboard, like on Tumblr, saying, now might be a good time to update your password. Didn't say why, just
do it.
Now might be a good time to update your password. So, yeah, they're kind of playing it down. This is probably being sensationalized to some degree. But the other side of it is, you should be changing your passwords regularly anyway and enabling two-factor authentication wherever you can.
And on top of that, using some kind of manager like KeePass to automatically generate passwords that meet certain requirements. And on top of that, you don't have to remember any more of your passwords, so it's hard to beat.
I love KeePass. I use KeePass, and I have it hooked in through Chrome and Firefox. And it's an open source password manager. It works beautifully. I highly recommend it. But anyway, we've been talking over the past couple of weeks about popcorn time.
Jesus, you have a hard-on for this spy.
I do, because I like it. I like the concept. And only because you said last week, I believe it was last week, maybe the week before, that you didn't care about it anymore because you couldn't get it because it's being pulled down. And as both David and I pointed out, it was the code was on GitHub and it had already been forked. And now we have at least 3 good, viable alternatives for people to try.
Mm-hmm.
And you
Go ahead.
I was just going to say the concern, I never really thought the concern was that the software would go away. I guess my concern is that the movie database, Yiffy's database, is going to be at some point taken down or shut down in some way legally. Because as it stands right now, there are plenty of ports for the actual Popcorn Time software, but they're still all using Yiffy.
Here's the other problem with it, right? And it's rather a simple one from a legal perspective. A lot of software like BitTorrent and the whole lot can get away with certain legal claims because, they have uses other than piracy. This has no use other than piracy.
Oh, absolutely not.
None. Expect a Pirate Bay style hunting of hosts and developers of these programs. So it shouldn't happen, but it will, because that's the movie industry for you.
I just think it's a neat concept. I like it. I like what they've done. And the one that I saw is working on a television version.
I think what's most interesting about this is it goes to prove that the reason we can't get movies ubiquitously, and the reason that the movie industry is, air quotes, losing money even though they're having record-breaking years again, is because they refuse to adapt. You know, when the open source community can put out something this cool, there's no reason why they, with all their resources and, you know, can't get together, sign a few licensing agreements and put out something fucking awesome where they charge, you know, whatever they charge, like 99 cents a movie or whatever, and just have it ubiquitous. You know what I mean?
If they did that...
This alone proves that there's no technological barrier in any way, shape, or form. It's just...
It's sad.
Yeah, imagine if the movies were hosted by a legitimate company with some legitimate hardware backing it up. We'll see. I was hoping at the very least this would be a wake-up call to say, hey, there are people out here who will pay for your movies. They just can't get them. They want them. Let's have a piece of software that's this easy to use where people can pay a monthly subscription to, like Netflix, except with more immediate access to content.
Yeah, but here's the thing with Netflix is I went looking the other day. What was it I went looking for? Saving Grace with Holly Hunter. I originally watched the full series on Netflix. It's not there anymore. Because of licensing. And it's bullshit. That's why I like services like the Popcorn Time or ones that come out, for other ways of getting your television. Like even Aereo out of New York. With their over-the-air television.
How are they doing? The last I heard, they were gone back to court.
They're going to be continually going back to court until it hits the Supreme Court. That's just the way it's going to be, because the television networks are adamant that they want to take them down. CBS has already said that if Aereo wins any more court cases, they're going to move to cable.
Good, let them move to cable. Let them take their toys and go home.
Yeah. But obviously they're not going to. It's posturing. But the fact is, until something like this reaches the Supreme Court in the United States, you're going to have this ongoing legal battle. And in the end, it's the consumers that are going to get screwed. It's the same thing as with the Comcast Time Warner merger. You know?
Don't get me started on that.
Why?
It's bullshit.
Yes. Especially when 2 years ago, when Comcast bought NBC.
Oh, can I interrupt you?
Yes.
Second. If anybody from Comcast is listening to this podcast, stop calling me. And stop calling my wife. My business name is Screw Media. It should be easy enough to look me up in your system. We've told you we don't want any more calls. We've hung up on you. Etc., etc. Stop bloody calling me. I don't want to upgrade my service. I'll call you when I want to upgrade my service. Thank you. But seriously, they have. Sarah started hanging up on them because they just stopped. She told them not to call her anymore, and they just keep calling. And now they've started calling me. So, yeah.
But 2 years ago, when Comcast bought NBC, they used the argument that Time Warner was competition enough that there was no problem. Now they're turning around saying that buying Time Warner will increase competition.
Yes, because removing competition from the market always increases competition.
Absolutely.
See, that's what I do, right? I get all the kids around the table, okay? And I have 3 suites on the table. And there's 4 kids, right? And my logic is this, kids, I'm going to eat one of those sweets, and then there'll be more of them left for you guys.
It does encourage competition between the kids, though. Fight it out.
Drawing blood and everything, right? Yeah. Boof, boof.
And then I upload it. You know, I live stream it.
Yes.
Hopefully, in this case, one of your kids is Google Fiber, and he'll grow up to be a very strong individual. We'll see.
Speaking of strong, Microsoft apparently is looking into Xbox 360 emulation through Xbox One. Yes, no, maybe.
It's not going to happen. At least not in any meaningful sense.
No.
Why?
Because you're trying to, first off, emulate PowerPC on the x86 chipset, which is just a pain in the ass.
I'm going to say, even if it does happen, they're going to recharge you for these games.
Yeah,
anyway. they're going to be digital downloads.
Yeah, you're right. It's not going to be a pop your 360 disc in, and just play your games, because there's no value in that. You know, by the time they get this thing out, there's going to be no value in the sense of there's not a revenue stream there. Now, there was one interesting thing brought up that I think you mentioned it, David, that, you know, maybe this will be an emulator that they would run in the cloud on Azure and then stream games from the 360 to Xbox One players.
You know, it's always a conversation that comes up after I'm using air quotes here when I say next gen console. But
yeah, all the next gen consoles are out. They're not next gen anymore.
Yeah, they're not at all. And every time a console comes out, there's always an issue with backwards compatibility. Personally, I think if this was able to be done, that Microsoft would have used it as a selling point for the Xbox One, which would have made sense. At this point, who cares? Because most people are going to have a 360 anyway, and they're buying another console because at this point, consoles are pretty damn disposable.
Yeah, I mean, I have a 360 and the Xbox One hooked up to my TV, and you know, if I want to play my 360 games, I just turn on the damn 360, right? Nice, simple, easy. And PlayStation users are in the same boat because they changed the architecture. And even when they did emulation on the 360 for the original Xbox, it sucked half the time, and it didn't support half the games.
Even the remakes were pretty terrible. I tried to play the Halo Anniversary to go back through the single-player campaign, but it lagged terribly on a 360, and it wasn't it wasn't a good experience because it wasn't running on the 360 like it was intended to do so. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't see it working. I don't. Even the digital download version of Halo that they released on the 360 was still terrible and still didn't run very well emulated. So, there's a precedent for it, and it's failure.
There's a precedence for it, and it's failure. I like that. One thing we know won't fail is the iPhone 6 when it comes out. Guaranteed lineups. Oh, I know, Paul. You're not an iPhone fan, are you?
You should have Daniel on the show. He'd not be jizzing all over the place at the mention of iPhone.
But apparently there's a report on Yahoo that Ming Chi Ku from KGI Securities...
Say that again?
No, I'm not going to say that again because I probably fucked it up the first time. One more time. No.
It's baby talk or something really kinky.
Anyway, this analyst from KGI, who's apparently a reliable source of Apple iPhone rumors, has released a report on what we can expect, of which will be a 4.7-inch display panel that will be Retina, sport a resolution of 1334 by 750 pixels, which they say works out to a pixel density of 326 per inch.
Yeah, because that's not important anymore.
Yeah, at this point, we've come to expect high-quality displays. I will give Apple credit for their displays. They are beautiful. And I would assume the new iPhone is going to be the same, especially with the new, the 5.5-inch version.
Yeah, but here's the thing. It's only going to have 1 gig of memory.
Just to touch on that it's coming from a company that has always had what seems on paper significantly under-spec'd machines. Back as far as I can remember is the original PowerBooks, the iBooks were all comparatively under-spec'd. But iOS and OS X run pretty well without a whole lot of system resources behind it. I mean, Apple's kind of notorious, or, well, not notorious, but they're known for their ability to slim down an OS to kind of its bare essentials. And if you're looking for a device that if you just need to call, text, email, and surf the internet, it's going to be plenty.
Okay, so but here's the thing that gets me.
It's not really too much of a turnoff for me.
Do you think they'll actually do a phablet?
Well, they consider anything in between that weird, like 5 to 7 inch gray area a phablet. I don't know if the 5.5 inch was really considered phablet size, especially compared to like a Galaxy Mega. Yes. Exactly.
For the audience who we do not have video, Paul just took his 7-inch Android tablet and stuck it up to his ear to make a phone call with. Anyway, yeah, I don't get phablets. I really don't. Either you're going to have a tablet or you're going to have a phone or you're going to have both.
And there's a good area kind of in between. It does look a little awkward making phone calls, but who makes phone calls anyways nowadays? Come on.
I do.
We text, we email.
Just curious about this, I get your point that Apple are really good at slimming down OSs, but if they're going to stick a more powerful processor in there, that's fine. I'm just kind of worried then about there's not much room for growth in terms of mobile gaming on iOS if they're only going to go with 1 gig RAM.
Yeah, but Amazon, Apple's never been one, sure, they've got the games in the store.
Unreal Engine is available for it, that's all I'm saying. Okay?
One of these days, we'll see.
Unreal Engine gaming, big news, I guess, as far as gaming is concerned. Amy Hennig, who used to work for Naughty Dog doing Uncharted, has switched companies. She's gone to work at Visceral Games to do the new Star Wars title.
Yeah, her move is kind of a side note as to why I put this into the show notes. I'm kind of more just excited by Visceral Games doing a Star Wars title.
I hope so. I hope it's gritty. Yes.
Back off, and they do, like you were saying there, David, that it's gritty, that it's, Dead Space. Star Wars meets Dead Space.
Well, you got to admit, Naughty Dog, Uncharted was a gorgeous game. It is a gorgeous looking game. The art direction in that is excellent. So if she's the one responsible for that, and she's bringing that to Visceral, combined with their Dead Space, styling, it could turn out pretty damn good. That would be an interesting one to see. What's not interesting to see, I'm sorry, I gotta go here. I gotta go with this one. Hollywood wants to re-image Battlestar Galactica movies.
Reboot number 2.
The reimagining of the reimagined series. Absolutely.
Okay, here's
the reimagination.
Yeah, okay. The original Battlestar Galactica was a little schlocky. It was good. It was fun. It was, not bad. It made a few stars out of it. The second one was awesome. I think that is it's classic sci-fi television series material. It doesn't need to be remade. It doesn't.
Yeah, but you know what? There's lots of people who would say, Superman didn't need to be remade after.
Well, here's what I say about that. First off, I have to preface this by saying I'm a massive Battlestar Galactica fan. But my question is, why are we reimagining something that is, quite frankly, not that old? I mean, the Blood and Chrome movie was released in 2009. So it's not like the actors are all dead or have stumbled onto great new projects. They're all still very much available and still very much unknown.
Yeah, but it's why are we reimagining it? For the same reason we reimagine Spider-Man every 2 years.
They do that to keep the rights.
I think that was a contract issue with Tobey Maguire more than it was anything else.
No, but I mean, somebody sees an opportunity to make money here, basically, with a built-in fan base. That's it.
I get your point. I really do. I understand that. I'm with David on this one. You take what has been done and done really, really well, and make a movie of either before or after. Preferably after, because before is kind of stupid, because they tried that with what was that?
This is what Hollywood does. That's what they do. We don't have an original idea. We keep rehashing the same shit over and over.
I just wish they'd rehash it with the same cast then, at the very least, because Edwards almost...
You couldn't watch it with the same cast.
They would probably look... I don't know. I think they could make it work, because they tried to do it with Blood and Chrome with a different cast, and it was okay, but not great.
Let's take this from another aspect. Star Wars, J.J. Abrams. We've got version 7 coming, but they're putting it 30 years in from the end of the last Star Wars.
Which is about right in line with the book, so I assume they're going to be following the children of Han and Leia and Luke and Mara Jade.
So that makes sense. That can work. Why couldn't they do the same sort of thing with Battlestar Galactica? Why do they have to rehash the same storyline? I don't understand.
Because because the problem is there's not actually that much of a storyline to Battlestar Galactica.
Whoa, now. Shots fired.
Don't get me wrong here, right? I mean, every episode is a self-contained story, but the entire show is very kind of... The storyline itself isn't that huge, you know? It's in depth, but it's not that huge. There's not a lot of arc you can take it on outside of, you know...
Well, they tried that with Razor.
Travel from here to Earth and fight the Cylons and deal with all the shit that goes on in between with, you know, subplots and mini adventures, but there's nothing overreaching beyond that. It's and that said, as a fan, I mean, you know, I just...
That's why I'd imagine it is something that happens like Caprica tried to do, where they take on the kind of a prequel to the story, because afterward, I mean, they're already on. It did. It was so terrible. And at this point, though, when the show ended, they were already, and I don't know if we want to necessarily give away too many spoilers to those, because if you haven't watched the show, you need to. But they kind of wrap things up in a very final way.
Watched it by now, fuck them if they get spoiled. Okay, that's simply it. Like, we're so far in from when they finished it. Like, spoilers don't exist.
Speaking of things that should have a reimagining or even a readaptation, Sci-Fi Channel to do 12 Monkeys.
Okay, you and I are going to differ on this one. You're saying that if HBO did it or AMC did it, it might be worthwhile watching.
Well, I'm just saying, I'm not sure, like, 12 Monkeys, you know, was good, right? Really, really good.
I loved it. It was a great movie.
I'm just not sure that Sci-Fi Channel has the chops for doing that.
Let's just...
It'll be like Sharknado.
No. Because what I know, because I've been following, like, Sci-Fi has already come out and said point blank, they are ditching that shit. They are getting away from the reality channel type crap. Yes, they're going to have their Shark Week, and yes, they're probably going to have their Sharknado, but they are going back to their roots as a sci-fi channel. They are, and we've seen that with Helix.
Everything that Sci-Fi produces feels low budget. You know what I mean?
Have you watched Helix?
Oh. Now, Helix is one that I was told to check out, but I get distracted by, like, Super Gator, and it kind of turns me off from everything they have.
Watch Helix. Maybe
Sci-Fi Channel has a brand issue then that it needs to
could be.
No kidding. Absolutely. But it's such a turnoff. Even just recommending Battlestar Galactica, you're met with flack because it comes from Sci-Fi.
Yeah. They do have, and I think that's one of the reasons why they went from the one name to this SYFY thing, and that was the wrong thing to do. I'm sorry. They should have stayed with Sci-Fi. That's all there was to it. But I like the idea of a 12 Monkeys television series. I want to see what they do with it. I know Terry Gilliam, who was the director of the movie, is not a big fan of the idea. He thinks it's stupid. But I think they could do something very interesting.
He's too busy preparing for his Monty Python reunion. So.
Yeah, he's still. Good luck on that one.
No, they're doing one. It was announced last week, I think.
Oh, God. I'm sorry, I'm not a Monty Python fan. I never have been. I don't get the humor. And I'm British by birth, but not by... Anyway.
I don't podcast with you anymore. You don't like Monty Python.
I do, to a point. I get some of the humor, like the Silly Walk, Ministry of Silly Walk. I thought that was pretty funny. And then what's that one with the parrot? Takes a dead parrot back to store. Anyway. If you had millions
topic.
If you had millions of dollars and a 4-year-old daughter, what would you buy her?
A nanny, so I could go spend my millions of dollars all on my own.
David, what would you buy her?
Probably an older PC. I don't know. Something along those lines.
Well, you guys...
I don't have the money for an Apple II or anything fancy like that.
You guys obviously aren't Brad Farron, who is he's a CEO of tech design firm Applied Minds. He has spent millions of dollars custom making or having a custom made truck for his daughter.
This is an apocalypse vehicle, right?
No, it's not.
He might think this is for his daughter.
Yes.
This is a bloody apocalypse vehicle, right? This is for surviving the end of the world. This thing has radar. This thing has its own power source. It's
Kevlar tires.
Kevlar fucking tires.
It's insane. It's absolutely insane the amount of equipment is in here. And I know that she could probably operate maybe the music player in this vehicle. Like maybe the iMac that's mounted to the wall. But there's no way she can operate this equipment.
Tell me something. You take a look at that picture of that office. Tell me you wouldn't want that office.
The chair is what ticks me off. If you're going this far and you're going to build this vehicle, you're telling me the best chair he could get was one of those canvas artiste chairs? Really?
Yeah, it needs to be some really cool bucket swivel type chair that's in a rail on the ground, you know? And you can just like press the little button and you can move down one end.
No, they didn't say exactly how much money, but it was multi-millions of dollars.
This was in Discover magazine last month, either Discover or Science, and it was like, it was the high side of $4 million.
$1 million for each year she's been alive. That's not bad.
I could think of better things to spend the money on.
I just want to know something. Do they need to hire a driver?
Looking at the tech that's in this thing, it should drive itself.
It really should.
This is mobile Skynet.
Okay, we're going to end off with this news just broke today, almost pre-show almost, but word is Amazon has bought Comixology. Now, if you don't know what Comixology is, it is the largest digital comic store on the web. Marvel's in it, DC's in it, Dark Horse, you name it. If you have a comic, it's in Comixology. And there's been no word of a price that's been paid, no details on the deal. Apparently, the company will be running as a division under Amazon and retain its people and identity. Thoughts? Anybody?
First, is Comixology, are they digital copies or hard copies you're buying?
Digital.
Okay. So to me, it makes perfect sense. Why not? Why wouldn't Amazon carry comics? I like the idea.
Well, they've tried. Like, they have graphic novels, but they haven't gotten big into the comic industry yet.
Well, you know, it might be good in the sense that, first off, it'll level the playing field. I've tried some of these comic apps before. You go into them. They all have like different pricings per comic and so on and so forth. It's just a mess. This might level the playing field. They might have just like one flat rate for the comics or whatever, which will be fairly cool. I'm wondering though whether or not that means we're going to see some sort of a color e-ink Kindle. They keep improving not the Kindle tablets now, like the Kindle Fire, but they keep improving the Kindle. You know, like the last one they released was the Paperwhite, which is a really, really nice reading device. I wonder if we'll see a color e-ink device that's comic capable, because I know the current ones, if you load them on yourself, will actually play comics, but they're all in black and white.
Yeah.
So.
It's going to be interesting news. I'm a big fan. I love comics, and I've been reading more of them digitally now. And I think it's going to be interesting news. But on that, we're done.
Yay!
We're going to be out of here, folks. As soon as Paul tells us, you got anything cool you found through the week, Paul?
No.
No.
Because I've been working my butt off.
No. Neither have I. I've been working my butt off, too. David, rescue us. Anything cool you found?
Well, we mentioned it a little bit earlier, but I just want to reiterate. KeePass. 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 Download it. Love it. Learn it.
Does that have an Android client?
Yes.
It does. Linux, Android, Mac, Windows, every browser.
Everything. It integrates. There's an extension for Chrome. There's an extension for Firefox. I couldn't find one that was workable with Internet Explorer, but there is also. Yeah, shut up. I had to check.
Sorry.
There's an Android for both the phone and the tablet.
Oh, I never put this in the show notes, and it completely just jumped my mind. But I just want a quick reaction, right?
Okay.
A very, very quick reaction. It was, oh my God. One of the progressive political sites, oh, you know what? Forget it. I'll put it in the show notes for next week, because this is a reaction thing, and I can't even think. I'm having a brain fart. I'm sorry.
That's okay. On that note, folks, remember, KeePass. 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 Excellent tool. I recommend it. David recommended it. Paul's going to use it. Until next week, folks, on Wednesday, remember, we will be recording on Wednesday, which means we will post the show Thursday morning instead of Fridays. But until then, it's Paul Flaherty, David Gall, Stephen Hodson on Geek Dimensions On Air podcast, wishing you a good upcoming weekend. And remember, folks, keep it geek. You have been listening to the Geek Dimensions On Air podcast with Stephen Hodson, Paul O'Flaherty, and David Gall. You can send any feedback about this or any of our other episodes to feedback@geekdimensions.com or by leaving a comment on the post. You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Google Plus as Geek Dimensions. If you want to subscribe to the show, you can find it on iTunes, Stitcher, Blueberry, and podcastpd.org, or you can use our RSS feed for the show. The music used in the show is Metro by Sleep Thief. The On Air podcast is the official podcast of Geek Dimensions and everyone living a geek's life.